Good morning, everybody. Well, I don't actually mean good morning. It's good morning for me, because it's morning for me, but I expect for the majority of you it's not morning, considering my analytics tell me that you're all guys between the ages of about 12 and 45. Yeah, so I'm just gonna assume none of you were up at this ungodly hour, because I would like not to be, but I couldn't sleep, so screw it. It's like 7 o'clock. And if you couldn't tell already, I'm gonna play some Civilization 5 Gods and Kings. I would play the second expansion, but I don't have it yet, because I don't want to buy it when it's $30, because Steam won't put it on sale. I know that's not Steam's decision, but you know what, whatever. Anyway, I decided to play some Civ 5 because, well, I'll explain later, but basically this is going to be a combination Let's Play and tutorial for those of you who have never played. So, hopefully maybe some of you are new to my channel and have never seen me play before, and you're looking for a tutorial on how to play. So, let's get started, I guess. Single player setup game. Do not click play now. It will just play whatever the original settings were beforehand, which is stupid. But whatever. Anyway, let's see. What do I want to do here? Who should I play as today? So for those of you who don't know, for those of you for whom the Civilization series is completely new, you play as a civilization and you try to start them off from one measly city and bring them to glory by one of several different manners. And each civilization has some units that only they can build that are usually replacements for other units. They also have these special, I don't know what you would call them, abilities is not the right word, but like they have special features that are useful at different times, and some of them, some of them have multiple units that are improvements on the originals. Others have extra buildings or something like that do something a bit different. So who do I want to play as today? I'm going to play as somebody new who I haven't played as before. Let's see. Great scientists when you discover writing earn great scientists 50% faster. I like that. And I'll explain why later, because, you know, yeah. Anyway, let's see. Let's play on continents, and we will do should we do a huge map? That could take a long time. You know what? Let's do a huge map. I am going to set the difficulty level to Chieftain. Normally I play on Warlord, and as I should explain, I almost always play on Warlord, despite it being really easy, because Prince, for some reason, just manages to stomp my ass into the ground all the time. Like, the jump between Warlord and Prince is huge, and some of you who are really good at the game may laugh at me for that, but seriously, just Prince destroys me. Unless I'm playing with, like, very specific setups that I'm used to. But I'm actually going to play on Chieftain. Well, you know what? I'll play on my normal difficulty on Warlord, just so you guys can... So I do have a bit of a challenge. We'll go for a standard game, just because I don't like playing on quick, because time goes by too fast, and you end up, like... I don't know, it always feels weird when I'm in the 1700s and for some reason I haven't discovered, like, chivalry yet. That annoys me. I always, in Civ 5, I always go into the advanced setup. And this is where you can select what the other civilizations are going to be, and actually this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to remove a couple of these if it'll let me, so that we only have 10. And here's the problem. I hate city-states. They are an addition to Civ 5. I don't know if they were in Civ 4. I didn't play Civ 4. But they're an addition to Civ 5 that I really don't like, because they're like these extra single city states that ask you to do stuff and can either become friends or enemies, and they're irritating. They're like, I don't want to have to keep track of 30 other states like that might, suddenly throw a couple of units at me. They're usually not a big deal, but occasionally it can turn the tide, and it's annoying. To me, at least. And this, I'll explain later, but I come from a background of Civilization 3, which, for those of you Civ veterans, well, you'll know what I'm talking about. Anyway, let's see. I'll just explain all of these. Map type is the, the way it generates the map. Map size is like just how big it is. Difficulty, game pace, are both pretty self-explanatory. Game era changes when you what scientific age you start in. World age changes the younger the younger the Earth is, the more rough the terrain is, the more varied it is. So what you'll see at a 3 billion year old Earth is much higher, much more varied, like high mountains and then, a whole bunch of plains right next to it. It's much more rough, whereas at 5 billion years, you'll see lots of kind of just hilliness without a whole lot of... It doesn't make a huge change, but, it's there. I always keep it on the 4 billion years. This can change the types of biomes that you end up seeing. So cooler, you'll see more tundra, more forest, whereas hot, you'll see more jungle and things like that. Same with rainfall, although I might be getting those mixed up a bit in terms of how they affect. Sea level changes just how high sea levels are. I mean, that should be pretty self-explanatory. And then resources is how it drops resources on the map in terms of quantities and types. I always get rid of diplomatic victory because it seems cheap to me. Basically, a diplomatic time victory is you get to the end, and I actually get rid of that one too. You get to the end, quote unquote, which is the year 2050, and whoever has the highest score wins. That's stupid to me because it doesn't always calculate score nicely. A science victory basically means you research all of the science and you build a spaceship and you travel to Alpha Centauri. And if you're the first one to do that, you get a science victory. Domination victory, you wipe everybody off the fucking map. That should be pretty self-explanatory. Cultural victory, that one's a little weird. I don't completely understand it, but it's basically like you're just so fucking awesome that everybody bows down to you and says, shit, man, let me into your awesome culture. And then the diplomatic victory is you build the somebody builds the United Nations, and then a vote goes out, and you vote on who becomes the head of the United Nations, and whoever gets the fucking vote, it wins. Which is retarded because, well, at least in Civ 3, I haven't tried it in Civ 5. In Civ 3, you would never win. Ever. Ever, ever, ever. It was bullshit. It would just... they would fuck you. Because they just didn't like you. The NPCs like to attack you for no apparent reason, and you're just like, dude, now I have to fight you, and I don't really want to, but fuck it, I guess I will. And then they're like, oh, you're a warmonger. I'm like, you guys attacked me. Anyway, I could go on a tirade about that. So I get rid of diplomatic victory. Let me get through this so I don't bore you guys all to death. Max turns. Now, I'm not sure what the difference between time and max turns is. I think they're very closely related. I always allow policy saving and promotion saving, so you can keep those to spend later, those points. Complete kills, that means like as long as an enemy civ has a unit, they are still in existence, which is dumb. Start bias is good because it actually, makes sense in terms of the different civs. New random seed, yes, so that like if you save and reload, it doesn't do the exact same thing and fuck you in the same way again. I like ancient ruins because they give you shit. I like barbarians because they make it a little challenging at the beginning. Sometimes I turn off city raising so they can't burn your shit down when they capture it. I don't like espionage either. I just like to get rid of it because it adds additional unnecessary complexity. The one city challenge is really fun, which basically you build your city at the beginning and that's all you get. Anything you conquer, you have to raise. But yeah, that one's fun, but I'm not going to do that right now. I'm going to do quick combat and quick movement so you guys don't have to watch all of the animations. And Raging Barbarians, that just means there's fucking barbarians everywhere ready to kill your shit. And Random Personalities means it gets rid of the standard like personalities for the different civilization leaders, which I'd rather sort of have an idea of what they're like. Also, fun fact, Gandhi is a warmongering fucker. Do not trust him. Nuke him off the planet as fast as possible. Anyone who's played Civ knows this. Just murder him. Anyway, I'm going to start the game. Alright, so we started and it reads you a thing about stuff that doesn't really matter. It just... yeah. Anyway, so because I'm Nebuchadnezzar of the Babylonians, it started me near a river, which sort of makes sense, the Indus River Valley, Indus and Tigris and the Euphrates, those are the three, is that right? Yeah. No, Indus is... fuck it, I don't know. Indus is different, but it's the Tigris and the Euphrates, and then Babylonians are near the... yeah, those. Anyway, before I make a fool of myself on YouTube, where nobody's actually watching this, I'm going to build a city. So, basically, you want to pick a place where, you don't want to pick a shitty starting place. I mean, that goes without saying. So don't build in the middle of the tundra. It's not going to go well for you. It's at least not for your first city. You might build there later, but this is actually a great starting spot. I'm near water. I'm near a river, which is a source of fresh water, which is very useful later. There's some forests, and there's a hill. I'm actually tempted to move up to the hill, just because it gives you a defensive bonus for the city. But there's furs here. That's the foxes. There's the wines here, and here. And it's got some varied terrain, which is pretty nice. So this is actually going to be a really nice starting spot. So I'm just going to come over here and click this button to found the city. You could also just hit B. So I'm going to do that. And there's my city. So, now, for those of you who are coming from a different version of Civ, at least those of you who are coming from Civ 3, like I did, there's a big difference here, which is in Civ 3, I'm not sure about Civ 4, somebody can put it in the comments, you had to defend your city with you always started like this. You had a settler and a warrior, and you had to build your city and then sit your warrior on it like a fatty babysitter until you built another unit, because apparently the city couldn't defend itself. That was stupid, and they got rid of that. So now you build your city, and it already has a combat strength, so it can defend itself. It's not just gonna aren't just gonna have barbarians waltzing in and destroying it. So I can actually take my warrior now, this unit here, and I can send him out to explore. Now, normally I would just hit the E button, which is to explore. Now I have to figure out. There it is. So explore, automated. So that'll tell the unit to just go find shit. And I'm forgetting the controls. And it's asking me to choose the production now for Babylon because they don't know what to make with all the shit they're suddenly collecting. So let's build a monument just because why not? And then they want me to select research. So this is the technology tree. We already started with agriculture. That's the basis for quote unquote civilization. As an environmental science major and a history minor, I could go into why that's bullshit. But I won't. So one of my bonuses as the Babylonians is once I get writing, I get a bunch of shit. So I'm gonna rush that. Although, now that I say that, I'm gonna go back on my word. And I'm gonna do mining first, and then I'm going to do... Yeah, then I'll do... I'm holding shift to queue things up, so I click on one thing, I can actually click out here and it'll do them in the order, but I'm just clicking on the one, and then if I hold shift, that basically adds things to the queue, so I can either just hit pottery or I can hit all the way out, as far as I want to queue things up, so it doesn't have to ask me every time I finish researching something. And now the turn is over. I've moved all my units. I've set something for everybody to do. So next turn. And this, you'll see the clouds. That's the fog of war. I mean, you're probably familiar with that from other games. It just is area I haven't explored yet, so I can't see what's there. So my warrior now has sight on this area here. Which ancient ruins, and they are automatically going to... Normally, I say this, but it doesn't always happen. Normally, they will, once they see ancient ruins, they'll immediately make a beeline for them. Because, there you go, that is why. Because when you explore ancient ruins, it gives you shit. Sometimes it'll just be like a map that gives you a few... shows you a few squares. Sometimes it'll be some money. Sometimes it'll be... What's really great is when you get a free technology from it. And then sometimes it'll equip you with some super awesome technology that gives you spearmen way before you need them. Just for reference, I'll show you. To build spearmen, you need bronze working, which would be 28 turns from now if I rushed it. So I've got early spearmen, which is kind of cool. Or, well, at least I can't build spearmen, but I have a spearman, which will give me some early ability. Since they upgraded, they now want me to give them orders again. So I'm just going to tell them to explore again. But anyway, that'll give me some early dominance and ability to clear out barbarian encampments just that much easier. Or more easily. So, just hitting next turn over and over again. This part's going to be a little boring, but not as boring as it would have been in Civ 3, where we literally just would have been like, okay, next turn, next turn, next turn, as we wait for my next unit to build. So let's see what these guys are going to find. They find another ruins. They also made ruins more prevalent in Civ 5 over Civ 3. Which is kind of nice. So let's see what we get. So I got gold. Alright. Also, worth noting, you always start in 4000 BC, I believe. And it, goes as time does, towards 0 and then up from AD. But the first, in the early turns, it'll go like 50 years at a time. But the closer you get to the modern era, each turn will decrease in like the amount of time. So by the time you get into like the 1900s and 2000s, it'll be like 2 years per turn or something like that. down to as low as 1 year per turn, like once you get to the 2000s.